So, level 1, right? The game starts right after you leave the gate. What are some things that you're thinking about, planning for, considering as you get into this game?
I'm thinking of trading with. Oh, what the fuck? I'm thinking of doing like quick trades versus the Lissandra, and then seeing if I can roam. Mostly, I've
Okay.
taken fucking what's it called? Ignite and TP
Mm-hmm.
because I feel more comfortable than Flash.
Okay.
That's it.
Could you explain that? Why do you think TP over Flash?
Because TP is very useful for example, split pushing, which I did in this game, and then Flash, I don't really think I need it on Akali because she has her E and R, which, yeah, it's gap closing.
Yeah, totally fair. I just was wondering because when you do go that Ignite TP, you are pretty open to ganks, and with the Lissandra, that's kind of a dangerous threat, right? Because she can just like E claw in and stun you, and then ult you
Yeah.
and hold you in place for a long time. So I was just trying to understand what your perspective was there. I think TP Ignite is fine. I would respect the fact that like your opponent has a lot of hard point and click CC, so in this case,
Yeah,
it's a little risky, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah,
yeah,
go
but
ahead.
it's yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
So your runes are Conquer, Presence of Mind, Tenacity, Last Stand. What's you got there? Second Wind and
that's coup de grace.
Coup de Grace. Sorry, not Last Stand. And then you've got Overgrowth. Okay. Um. So why do you go those runes? Curious.
Presence of mind. If I kill somebody, I don't have to wait for my mana to recharge as much. Tenacity, for example, Lissandra, if she roots me, it's helpful, and then it's a Akali, so if I get somebody low, I can R2 them
Mm-hmm.
with it, and then the second wind is for trading,
Mm-hmm.
and then overgrowth is just scaling.
Yeah, I'm not. I think your runes are fine. I just kind of wanted to understand if you're going into the game with it with intent, or just kind of like selecting them by default. So I definitely agree. Those are all good. One thing that I would suggest in like a short trade scenario is actually testing out electrocute. Um,
Alright.
the main
Yeah.
reason being, if you're looking for short trades, right, what'll get you the most damage out of that? Conqueror is very good for like all-in fights because you can stack up that Conqueror over time. But
Yeah.
if you think about their team comp, right, the other thing is they have a Yumi, which is really squishy. They have an Ezreal, which is really squishy. They have a Kindred, which is really squishy. And even Lissandra is pretty squishy, right? So you could
Yeah.
definitely get away with like an electrocute build here that helps you snowball. Anyways, just thought I would throw that out there. Something to
Yeah.
test out if you've played the electrocute Akali, it takes some adjustment. It's very different than the Conqueror style.
Yeah.
But when you identify that there's like 3, 4 squishies on the team, then it's pretty good. Anyways, let's get into game. You can press play.
Do I have to put the scoreboard down?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, click on the eye again. Oh, I actually want the scoreboard to be up. The other thing I want to set up is Fog of War. Can we do only the blue team? Yeah, there we go. That way we're not making too many conclusions without seeing it. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We invaded double one,
Mm-hmm.
and we couldn't really get anything out of it, so I just immediately just went back to mid.
Yeah, totally fair. Akali at level 1 is pretty horrendous. You don't add too
Yeah.
much to the invade, so like if it's not looking good, and Lissandra saw you as you went in, so honestly, just leaving is totally fair here. Um, you went Doran's shield. Do you want to explain that to me?
Again, for the short trades, and I just oh shit, bro, I'm leaving. Um,
Yeah.
um, what's it called? Yeah, it's short trades.
Okay. Um,
not really.
yeah, one thing I would suggest is if you're planning to play that short trade style, electrocute into Doran's Ring, because Doran's Ring will get you a lot of HP back when you kill minions, right? So, like, if that's something you wanted to try out, totally valid as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just watching how the first couple levels play out, and then I can give some advice.
Yep.
Okay, so let's rewind. Let's go back to maybe to the start of laning. Yeah, around here is good. Oh, no worries.
Oops.
That's fine. Cool. So, why don't you talk me through Akali level 1, right? Like, what is Akali like in the level 1?
I think for me, she's kind of strong for like Q, run away, and if they try and go for more, I just turn back, auto attack Q. And otherwise, she isn't the strongest for me.
Yeah, but how many Qs can you do at level 1?
Well, like 2.
I don't even think you get 2 with the passive proc anymore, right? So let's...
Yes,
Huh?
isn't it like 130?
I think it costs 130 mana, and your passive
Yeah.
doesn't give you that much back. So what's your passive give you? Actually, it doesn't give you anything back. So yeah, you've
Well,
only
it's
got
the
1 Q until you get
Ws.
W, right?
Well, no, the Q, and then she generates 30, and then she can do it again.
And so you can basically do 1, right? In the amount of time that Lissandra can do 2 Qs, you can probably do 1 Q, right? So
Yeah.
at least until you get W, your trading potential is pretty low. And you want to focus on using that to like maintain the wave, for instance, right? So if you press play here, one thing I want you to notice is like those Qs, they don't help you maintain the wave if Lissandra chooses to continue, and which she kind of does here, is you're trading some HP for almost no reason, and she still gets the push off. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the conscious thing I guess I'm saying is like at level 1, you want to be really careful with when you're throwing your Qs. If the other laner is trying to push you under tower, because Akali is pretty hard to CS under tower for starters. Anyways, continue. You can press play again. What ability do you think Lissandra takes at level 2?
E.
E?
Or
I actually think she would take W because she's playing against an Akali. So like E is her claw, right? Whereas W is her stun, and you're a short range champion. So she probably has W. So what I'm trying to get at is like when you're playing this lane phase right now, do you know when you're gonna hit level 2?
After the first minion in wave 2.
Right. And you're planning ahead for that, right? So thinking like, okay, what should I get at level 2 and what is she going to get at level 2, right? Will help you kind of plan for that level 2. And actually what I notice is that you completely back off at level 2. So there isn't the intention to kind of put some pressure on Lissandra, right?
No,
so
it's
like
because she hit level 2 first, so I was scared for her.
Exactly. And that stems from how you used your Qs in the beginning. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you're using your Q in the beginning to maintain the wave while you're while you're countering her push, she won't hit level 2 first and you'll hit level 2 at the same time. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. So if you go back, let's rewind. Rewind again. Yeah, press play.
What?
So what's happening right now? She's hard shoving into you, and you only queued her. You didn't touch the wave. So the wave is shoving into you right now pretty hard. Whereas
Yeah.
if you save that Q and use it for the wave, you can neutralize her push more, and you can maintain that pressure of, oh, I'm going to hit level 2 at the same time, or I'm going to hit it before you. Actually, if you continue, I think this happens again, too. So those early Qs, I guess what I'm stressing is that they're really important. See, she queued the wave again.
Yeah, it's because I walk up here and then I walk past the minion wave to Q. Wait, I missed the one minion with the Q.
Right.
And then I hit him.
And she's hit the wave almost 3 times with Qs. So that shove is what's getting her that level 2 first, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, if you get to level 2, the damage that you put on her at level 1 almost doesn't even matter. So focusing on, like, that next step, because you know at level 1 you're pretty weak. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It does.
Right. So go ahead, press play. Basically, in mid lane, okay, let's pause for a moment. Mid lane is all about, like, it's less about if we break down, like, the construct of mid lane, right? It's 1, are you playing towards your champion identity? 2, it's all about wave manipulation that creates openings to kill your opponent. But the main thing as an Akali player is that you have to figure out how to create those openings through the wave to kill Lissandra. And it starts from level 1. Because Akali's weakness is being able to control the wave. And if an opponent knows that, they're just going to abuse that and walk away, for instance. But if you're able to efficiently use Q to neutralize the lane, they're going to be super scared all the time. Because Akali can jump on them, she can jump out, you can take these little trades, like, you have so much mobility. That's all I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. Like, normally, right, I'll play Riven in mid, well, most of the time. And, well, the thing I do is actually that, but I think I don't really think it like that on Akali.
Okay.
So I just get scared.
Yeah, because Riven is like a fighter, right? She has all these stats. Yeah. So if she's able to get onto a mage, that mage is probably screwed at that point, right? It's kind of similar with Akali too, honestly. If you're making use of her passive procs, the damage that she can put out is pretty insane. So, let's press play. Yeah. And we haven't talked about jungle timers and all that. Right now I'm just kind of focusing on, like, what you're thinking about in your laning phase. Because with Akali, she's probably one of the hardest champions to micro on, right? Like, micro and mechanics are so important for her.
Yeah.
It was an okay attempt. I can appreciate it. So, yeah, let's pause again, right? Let's talk about that whole sequence. Let's rewind a little bit. Cool. Press it one more time. For, the backwards. Yeah. Okay, now press play. Cool. So you're level 2, your cannon wave's crashing. Here you start with your W. Do you mind if I ask why?
Oh, oops. I feel like I can't get my E into her wave, and if I try and just go in, she's gonna stun me.
Okay, so let's play out that scenario, right? Let's press play. So you have W at level 2, right? You don't have your E, you have your W. If you start to walk up here, right, and you hit that Q that actually slows her, and you get that extra movement speed, if she stuns you, and then you have your W, what happens? How do you think that plays out versus starting with your W? It's kind of a nuance here, but what I'm trying to say is, like, let's say you Q to start, right? So you've got all this
Yeah.
movement speed now. You catch her, she stuns you, and then you have your W. You catch her again, and you get another Q out of it. So, like, what I'm saying is, like, if you optimize for, if you're okay, since you have second wind, those little trades and the Doran shield will actually heal you faster than the damage she's going to output from, like, I don't know, a couple auto attacks, right?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, like, start with those optimized Qs, because Q is essentially her identity in the early game with the lane management, and then W when you absolutely have to, because that is like your core, you know, escape, maneuver, energy regen ability, right? So this trade, I think you could have executed a little better, and you would have gotten her down to like half HP even. And then she's really scared. And then you have complete control of this cannon wave, which gives you like so much kill pressure. Because Lissandra's, I mean, let's be real, Lissandra has like no stats. She's a pretty damn weak mage when it comes down to it. After her stun, she has 1 Q. That's it. That's all she has. So, like, her damage output is very low, whereas yours is extremely high with this Conqueror, and you want to make sure that you're stacking it appropriately, right? So, like, 1 Q, 2 stacks. Auto, 2 more stacks. W, Q again, 6 stacks. Like, maximizing for those types of trades. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, press play. So imagine like you had another Q and an auto there. Would have been her at half HP for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know what I'm doing there. I don't know.
No worries, but there's definitely one thing that I want to point out that you do well is you actually react to her cooldown. So you recognize that her stun is down and you threaten her off the wave. That's important. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
So I like that. If you rewind again, we can break that down a little bit more though. And this time, can you double click your champion on the map? So that, yeah. So I want to watch your cooldowns here, right? So let's rewind one more time. Because I think you used E earlier, or I can't remember when you used your E. So double click on your champion because I want to watch your cooldowns here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So your W is currently on cooldown, and you're about to hit level 3, right?
Yeah. It's because when I got level 3, I threw my E at her.
Yeah.
Because I thought she was gonna walk up.
Right.
Like, there.
I see. So you're trying to be predictive about it. I can appreciate that. One way to guarantee that E is just like walking up to her closer. So almost like if you think about Akali, she has so many different trade patterns, right? Like starting with your E is one of the most unreliable. I know people do it, but it's like you want to guarantee that E, right? Because when you E, that guarantees a passive proc as well. So it's so good to, like, for instance, in that scenario, if you waited for your W 5 more seconds, or maybe you didn't even wait for W. Let's say you just walked up to her face, Q'd, got the slow, and then pressed E, like as she's slowed, right? So then you're going to get the Q, you're going to get the E, and you're going to get the auto proc. So, like, there's so many variations of little trades that you can take. What I'm trying to explain here is that understanding which trade variation is optimal for this moment is so important on Akali. And my recommendation is that you always start with a Q, because that Q slows the opponent, right? And when you've got an opponent that's slowed, the chances of your E landing, the chances of you gap closing, the chances of you then outputting even more damage become higher. So right now, it's kind of awkward, right? Your W is going to come up, your E is on a 14-second cooldown. You can't really pressure her for a little while. Versus if you had started with the Q, then pressed E when you're on top of her, then you've got all the lane momentum in your favor. So we're just talking about trade patterns right now. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Let's press play. So right there, I actually would argue that that could have been a kill, but that's okay. That's what I was saying. So if you queued and then guaranteed the E, she has no more stun, right? So she's pretty screwed. That would have been at least a kill or a flash or a kill there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's press play.
I think I do a dumb trade here.
That one? Did you think that was dumb? I don't think it was dumb.
No. It's I have a dumb trade I did. I think.
Gotcha.
In the bin.
I don't think that was so bad. I actually think net that was pretty positive for you because if you had taken a tower shot, that could have been risky, but you didn't, yeah. So that's good. Yeah. Yep. Okay, you get the kill. Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
So I've seen your like early micro. Let's talk through more of the game itself, right? So like that was your levels 1 to 3. We can watch at a later point to see how you play it post 6. No, oh.
No, it's because my friends called and I just.
That's okay. So one thing that I want to mention is when you're playing mid lane, you want to be cognizant of like jungle pathing, right? So far what we talked about was kind of like the early game trades. We talked about levels 1, 2, and 3. And now I want to talk about a little bit about like the jungle matchup, right? Because when you're playing mid, you kind of have to always assume the jungler's looking mid, right? Especially like a Kindred who, I mean, is so mobile. And like I said, Lissandra too can get on top of you there. One thing that I would recommend is actually using your ward. I noticed you didn't put your ward down anywhere, actually, up until this point. So, where do you normally ward if you're going to put a ward down?
Right here.
Okay. Why right there? Curious.
Because if I'm pushed more up here and they just walk behind it through that bush and then over here, that ward won't do anything for me.
Okay. So you're half correct. I would say actually a better place to put that ward is in that pixel brush. So the reason being, if you put a ward on this ramp here, you actually won't see Kindred if she just walks through that top right there. If she does a very basic gank path, you won't see her. And the reason you know Kindred is going to be bot side is because your Master Yi invaded her on top side. So you actually have some information, right? Kindred just died top. Where is she going to go next? She's going to go to her blue and clear that side. So chances are I need to put a ward down in that bot pixel brush whenever I get the chance. Honestly, I'm a fan of warding early and every time it's off cooldown. That's probably something that you have to practice in muscle memory wise. But having that kind of conscious element of where do the enemy junglers start at level 1? Where are they going to be when I'm level 3, which is like around this time, right? Like 3:30 is a scuttle spawn, right? And your Master Yi is actually like dominating at this point, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But in your next game, and the one after that, I want you to be thinking about these timers around, okay, I'm level 3 at this time. 3 minutes and 30 seconds, the jungler is going to be around Scuttle. I have to figure out where I want to ward. And in general, overall, it'll help you avoid those ganks. Like, you got a kill here. That's great. 1 for 1, that's the best scenario you could have expected. But in your next game, it could be a 1 for 0. And you're going to be like, shoot, why didn't I ward and look at that ward or see that jungler coming? So, the two things there are pay attention to where the enemy jungler starts. And then the second thing is think about, okay, if I'm scared about getting ganked, where do I think the jungler is at this given moment, right? So those are two questions I want you to ask yourself. Let's press play. Let's continue on.
I think I'll TP here.
I think TPing makes sense. First of all, it's a cannon wave and it's pushing slowly, so honestly, right now, this Lissandra should be pretty scared of you. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, she used TP too,
Yeah. I mean, you got some of the CS, but actually, if you want to rewind a little bit, let's talk about that sequence for a moment. Press play. What's happening here?
She's shoving me in.
Right. So, and it's a cannon wave, right? Like, you're outnumbered by a lot, and there's a cannon wave, and you still opt in for a trade. This Lissandra is bad, is what I'm trying to say, and it worked in your favor. However, in a general situation, what would the enemy mid laner do, right? You just TB'd back to lane. Do you want to go for a trade right now and lose all your HP? Probably not, because right now, you know that the wave is going to bounce back, right? Because she's hard shoving. So, at this moment, the damage that you do to her is almost pointless. In the case of like what's gonna happen with this next wave, this damage that you're doing to her is actually kind of redundant. Versus if you just like catch this minion wave, you get all the CS, and you save up for like your next ignite ult play, for instance. Because overall, like right now, you don't have any real kill pressure, right? Like you can't kill her right now. And if Lissandra was smarter, you actually would have taken a crap ton of damage from this giant minion wave. So
she W'd me, right?
Did she? Press play? I actually don't think she did.
I think I baited it out with the
I see. Well, she kind of just stood in the circle after that. But I don't know. Anyways, she didn't play it too well. I think overall you did play better than her there. But in the construct of like, let's say she was a better player, right? I think that was not the optimal trade to be going for, is what I'm trying to say. So like, setting up your wave to get better trades, like right now, actually, your HP is about even, whereas like her HP, if she had landed some CC or done more damage, would have been much higher.
Yeah. So don't fight in big minion waves too.
Definitely, especially not cannon waves, because you'll be taking all of that damage, and that's rough. Cannon waves are buff.
I think I go from a dumb trade here.
That was a pretty odd claw.
Just pushing away, I think. Yeah, here. I don't know why.
I mean, that's the thing about Akali, though, right? That costs you literally nothing. It's crazy how many things. So, I mean, that's what I meant by like Akali has so many trade patterns, right? Like, that was almost a for fun trade, which costs you nothing because one, Lissandra doesn't have E. She's not going anywhere. At most, she could have stunned you, which probably would have played out in your favor still. But yes, I would agree that generally that was a pointless trade. One thing I would recommend trying here instead. Actually, press play. I want to see what you do with this. Okay, pause.
I should have frozen.
You should have froze that, exactly. Because imagine the lane crashes right there. And you know that like you have more experience because you got the kill. So are you familiar with like XP tracking in general?
Not really. Like, I don't know like the XP gain from kills and assists.
Yeah. So without any kill or assist, you're going to hit level 6 at 9 waves of XP. So right now, around this time is when you hit level 6, if you didn't get a kill or an assist, in the next like 30 seconds, which is the next wave essentially. So the reason you got it earlier is because you have a kill. So familiarizing yourself with like the idea that at 9 waves, I'm going to hit level 6, right there, could have been either, again, her... Does she have flash? I don't remember. I don't remember if she has flash. But you could threaten the entire momentum of this lane right here. Or, if you don't even think... If she just backs off completely because she saw that you hit 6, you could look for a roam play. Because look at your side lanes. They're both set up for a potential gank right now. And Master Yi is bot. You actually could have even roamed bot for a kill, for like helping him do dragon or helping him kill bot, for instance. So like recognizing that that moment is coming is probably it's gonna take some practice. But essentially, you hit level 6 around 6 minutes, 5:30 to 6 minutes, and if you have a kill or assist, you hit it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right here, you should be zoning her off all of this. Like, literally just walking up to her face. Because if she blows a stun defensively, boom, you all in her. If she, like, tries to shove it in like she does now, you get all the pressure. Oh, I see the combo.
Yeah, I missed my E.
That's okay. You don't even have to start with ult. Let me tell you. So, when you hit 6, again, those trading patterns are start with Q. Slow her down first. And once you've hit that Q, you have a higher probability of hitting everything else.
Yeah.
Plus, when you hit that Q, she has to be thinking, oh, is she planning on all-ending me right now? Or are you planning just doing a short trade? That level of processing puts her in a tough position, right?
Yeah.
Always start with Q. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because she started walking away there, and I thought, okay, maybe she's gonna continue like that way, so I eat there.
Yeah, no, I'm not critiquing. Like, you had the right idea. I think that's totally fine. The fact that you're going for an aggressive play, I like it because you have the level advantage. All good things. The main thing I was trying to get at is that if you were to play it slightly differently, you could gain a bigger advantage. And that's what I'm trying to like emphasize is like if you get those bigger advantages, then you're really controlling your lane versus like going for a kill, right? There's a little bit of a difference there because she's going to hit level 6 now, right? Versus if you had zoned her off the wave completely, she probably would be like in a much worse position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Press play.
I don't know why. Like she stands still, right? To cast her E, is that like an animation?
Where did she stand still? Sorry.
Right there. Like she's. Like,
she's
when
moving.
she throws her E, does it just like? Because I know with like some abilities, it stun locks you in the position to throw it.
I mean, for a split moment, she'll be in position, right? Like, for a moment, there's an animation of her casting the E, but then you can go wherever she wants. So, because you committed ult, I see why you did that. But if you didn't commit ult, what else could you have done? You could have frozen this lane again in front of your tower, right?
Yeah.
And
then I could have rolled in.
Exactly. So yeah, so identifying like not just this immediate trade, but if I do this trade, what's gonna happen to this lane?
I'm gonna shove her in. She's gonna be scared, right?
Right now, it's still shoving into you, right?
Killing the cannon.
It's the cannon. So, like, if you time that all in to be a little bit later, I think that could have been a kill as well, or a flash. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also recommend tanking cannon damage. Like, there's no need for you to tank that cannon wave. If you pull it into your tower a little bit more, then the wave is in an optimal state for you. And I always want, like, the worst position for a lane is stuck in front of the enemy tower. And that is also, like, your favorite position, especially as an assassin. So, like, when it's stuck there, one thing that you're forcing her to do is to spend her mana to push that wave in. And what good assassin players will do is stand next to the wave. Kind of like what you're doing right now, right? So what you're saying to Lissandra right now is, hey, if you want to push this in, you have to come into range of me so that you can Q this wave, and then I'm going to jump on you. So, like, having that wave manipulation aspect will open up the windows for you to go and do more types of trades. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one thing I want you to walk away with, if anything, is when you're playing mid lane, it's the wave state that enables the trade, not the trade that gives you the wave state. So if you have a favorable lane position, then you go for an aggressive trade. Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, one thing you can always ask yourself, and I think it's like, when you're playing mid lane, always have a plan for how you want to execute the first 3 levels. Always have a plan for how you want to execute your all-in. And then, once you get more into the mid game, it's like having a plan of, like, okay, I'm going to freeze this lane, I'm going to create an opening here, I'm going to, what's happening to this wave right now? Is it pushing into me? Does that mean I can all-in? Like, asking yourself those questions in the moment will help answer those things. Anyways, you can press play now too.
Yeah, I had a Riven game where I did well, but there was some
Yeah.
mistakes, but it got terminated because there was a new patch, and then for some reason it just vanished.
I see.
I accidentally threw my E in the minion.
I mean, that's fine. I think when that situation is arising, right, and it's happened multiple times in this case, it's like, I don't recommend tanking the minions. I recommend pulling them towards your side. So, like, do you know what I mean by when I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, like, pulling the minion towards your tower or to the side of your lane is what I recommend, because that creates openings for you, you know? Because let's say you're playing against better opponents, they're not going to fall for it. they're not going to fall for the bad trade. They're going to know that this trade makes no sense, and they'll just back off. Or they'll just manipulate the wave so you can never go for those trades. So practicing that, definitely important. Go ahead. Okay.
Okay, this is something I do.
Uh-huh.
At least. I also do it with Riven because for Q jump with the wall, right? So I'm just looking, if they ward, if they want to have vision somewhere, I'm thinking, okay, if I stand here and then they walk up right here, I throw my E and then just all in.
It's
I'm
something that, like, I do sometimes for fun too. The question is, though, like, if she walked up, right? Let's say she walked up. Is it really a kill threat here? Is there a kill threat?
She's what? What's it called there? She's really low, and I have ignite on.
Uh-huh. Do you think she's gonna walk there with that HP? I'm just curious.
Maybe not.
So she doesn't have HP or mana, right? And is it a cannon wave or is it not a cannon wave? Do you know? Oh, I was hoping you didn't look. Yeah. So one thing is every 3 waves is a cannon wave, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like Lissandra actually might have known that, or she checked because she spent the rest of her mana to clear that wave and walk away. And so, if you had known that, right now is actually a great opportunity to go invade this Kindred. Because you could actually put some pressure onto the enemy jungler right now, right? And you know that Master Yi is on blue side, so that means Kindred is likely on red side because they started the same side. So jungle tracking we didn't even get to, right? Like we didn't even talk about that yet. But essentially what happens is like the optimal clear path for a jungler is cyclical, right? So if they start top, they're gonna go top bot, right? Like over and over and over if they want to be optimal. And so in the elo that you're playing at, it's pretty good to then say, hey, I know my laner's gonna reset here. No HP, no mana. There are so many options available to me that could give my team information. Right now, you could go ward red. You could go invade. You could go take a peek at Kindred. You could actually gank top lane here. You could even gank bot lane here. So, what I'm trying to say is, like, when you plan ahead for these types of moments, there are better options for you to take than spending your ward here.
Yeah.
And that could gain your team advantages that could spill over. Go ahead, press play. And I actually wanted to say something is if you recall, about a moment ago, you pushed the lane into Lissandra, and you did this thing where you walked into the bot lane. But let's just rewind, and I'll show you what I mean. Like this is actually where I was gonna suggest that, but I wanted to see how you played it out. Rewind again. Yeah, right here. Press play. So right after this, right, look at Lissandra for a moment. You'll see that she's already like half HP, and she's threw a Q out for this wave. So her intention is probably not to stay or fight you, and your lane is pushing into hers. So let's say right now you committed to this push, which you kind of do, and you know that you're setting yourself up for a roam because you've planned for it, right? So like again, it starts from the basics. The basics are, what am I doing with this wave? And what am I going to do in the next 30 seconds, right? So that's all I'm saying that you should walk away with is like always asking yourself that question. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep, you commit to this push. Great, perfect. Now what, right? You should be looking at the map. You should be considering where's the other jungler going to be. Is there a roam opportunity? And arguably, there is a roam opportunity because by the time you roam bot, your bot lane's going to be there too. So identifying those moments and like when you the other big thing is like minimizing downtime, right? So this is what I call downtime. And it essentially is time that all of the options open up for you. You could recall if you had something to buy. You could invade the other jungler. You could go top. Anyways, you want to minimize downtime is essentially all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep. She used her E on the wave too. So.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward to a later point in the game. We got maybe like a few minutes left. Let's fast forward to maybe some dragon fights or some skirmishes, and I can see if I could like help you out with some team fights and see how they go. Click even further ahead. Go to one of the objectives. Let's see how things go there. Yeah, press play.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I hard shot me.
Okay. Well, somehow you guys get this dragon even though your team's on Rift, so I'm curious to see what happens here.
I know what happens.
I see. Gotcha.
You should just flash it over the wall.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting. Did you know that she was doing dragon, or did you just kind of guess and walk that way?
Well, the scuttle was taken.
Hmm.
There was not really much time wasted on it. I just assumed.
Hmm. Okay. Works out in your favor.
What?
Yeah, so like when you're pushing out the lane, making sure that you're hitting all of the minions with your Q, because I think you took more damage there than you probably needed to. And
Yeah.
one thing, if you wanted to, yeah, just making sure that you're hitting all of the minions when you're pressing Q.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing I did with Riven. I just pulled the whole wave together and then I just.
Yep, makes
killed
sense.
it.
Yep.
Again with the minions.
So yeah, okay, all right. Let's press pause. Just remember, like, trying to start trades with Q as much as possible, because that
Yeah.
guarantees anything else that you want to do following up. And then making sure that you're hitting the entire way with Q. And then the last piece is like standing to the side of your minion wave so that you really make the opponent choose, is she going to hit the wave with the Q, or is she going to have to hit me and be worried about me?
Yeah, that's the thing I like normally do, but I think I'm just on autopilot with Akali.
Gotcha.
Because she's. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the main advice I have is like, if you're trying to climb, never autopilot, because you kind of have to go into the game with a plan, and that's how you iterate and get better, right? Like you go in with a plan, you play to that plan, and then you see, oh, what went well, what didn't go well. Because if you're autopiloting, like you're gonna fall into this trap of like, I don't know what I did, I don't know what I did well, I don't know I don't know why I lost, I don't know what my team did, So it's like, if you go in with that intention to do all of the things I just suggested, optimizing queues, wave management, good trade patterns, spilling momentum to the map. Like when you go in with all of those things, then you'll start to understand, okay, why did I lose this game? It's because I didn't maintain the waves well, or it's because I gave up too much HP in the early game. So in your future games, I definitely want you to think about that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, do you have any last minute questions that I can help answer for you while we're here?
Not really.
Cool.
Well, roaming, I did a
Yeah.
roam attempt here, I think. Or I backed. Don't know what I'm doing.
Looks
There's
like
at
you chose
some
not to
point
roam.
I roam. No, it's I think there's some point, right? I tried roaming.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Do you set up the wave so that you can roam, or I guess I mean at like 15 minutes, laning phase is it's like over, right? So it depends on when.
I think like right here where Ash dies, I think
Uh-huh.
it's where I maybe roam. Yeah, it is. I roam down. I think I ping my Ash R because she's just standing there. So I want her to do something and it just doesn't happen.
I see.
And he just flashes.
Well, one thing I noticed
And
is
she-
that did you ping that you were coming? Like, did you tell them that you're coming?
No. Yes. I did.
So spam pinging that you're coming will give your team the information that you're setting up for a gank. So make sure that like
Yeah.
when you do leave mid lane that you're doing that so they know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was a good roam actually. If Leona just pressed R and that, like you guys have so much CC to set that up. So yeah. That was a good realm. I think it could have worked out if any of those CCs hit.
Yeah.
Oh.
You shit. Oh.
Yeah, that's out of your control. That's just out of your control.
Yeah. And I was really hoping she would just like when I pinged it, she would press R when I came into the bush.
I
And
hear you.
if
Yeah,
like
but I mean.